leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
bit.
now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking no more to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Happy Tuesday, everyone, especially Dobbins and Mel going out there as the first GMers in the chat down below. We also got Absolute Zero over in the YouTube streets. We are live here on X Audio, X Video, YouTube, and Abstract. Tune in wherever you'd like, but just know it is a community-driven show. So your comments, your questions, your thoughts in the chat go a long way to adding value to the show, as does anyone who wants to jump up on stage and join the conversation today. We've got, obviously, the headline, the title of the show, SpaceX rips. Might it be reigniting the meme coin streets? Was not expecting that, but we are seeing some runners over there. And who knows if that continues, probably just a short pump. But I am, quite frankly, shocked. Not that SpaceX is pumped coming out of its IPO. Kind of anticipated this, although I was on the fence and did not make a play. But should have dove a little deeper into that. There's only 5% of the supply in circulation. It is, speaking of meme coins, it is a high FDV, low float, 5% in circulation. I think if I'll actually pull up the calendar and the chart, and then we can dive into it here in a little bit. But I think at least the first big unlock, there's something like 27% combined. There's 2 unlocks in August and about 27% unlock then. And then another big unlock, I think in November of next year. I'll pull it up though, so I'm not guessing or making stuff up. Is that cursor news real? I saw that. I guess is the other thing. When you IPO and you become the 5th most valuable company on the planet, you can just acquire things, whatever you want, when it's all stock deals. So yeah, this is breaking news. I saw it. I first thought it was not real. but I'm now seeing it in more places that StockX to acquire Cursor in a $60 billion deal. AnySphere, the company behind AI coding tool Cursor, will merge with SpaceX in an all-stock deal valued at $60 billion per SEC filing. Cursor reached $2 billion in annual revenue in just 3 years, making it the fastest growing B2B company in history. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew Cursor had exploded onto the scene, but didn't realize it was the fastest growing B2B company in history. I also, again, we'll come back to this later. I get a little tie into the title of the show today, but we'll also, I mean, I guess where my brain first goes is, okay, 60 billion valued at 60 billion, all stock deal. Is it the stock price today of SpaceX, the stock price yesterday, the stock price at the end of August? Because I think those numbers all could be pretty different. Mario says, spend a lot at Cursor, but canceled this month. I'm wondering why did you cancel? Why did you go from spending a lot to spending none? What changed? Is it other AI tools are doing the job for you at lower cost? I genuinely am very curious. I don't know if we've ever heard from Frosty's on stage. No pressure, no obligation. I'm not trying to dox your voice or anything, but yeah, he just says Claude Code is the same level now. That's interesting. Same level. And are you, if I could ask, are you on the $200 a month Claude Code plan? Curious how much you're spending in tokens. I still, yeah, before Cursor was great because I had great context. I still get by. Now I bounce back and forth, but I've yet to have to move to a $200 plan. I'm not coding anything, so that's probably part of it. But every once in a while I run up against my limits on the $20 plan. But between Claude, ChatGPT, and Grok, I have enough. I have the paid plans on all the 2020, and then I actually have no idea what I'm paying for X. No clue. I did at one point. I was paying the $8 or $11 a month, but now I think it's still 11. But then I also have the badge from BZ. I don't know if that kicks me up a tier because I do have X Premium Plus. Yeah, so I can try Grok Build. I've not done that yet, but you're able to create apps, build entire websites. I think Grok Build is like their Claude Code or Codex. I'm not really sure. Long story short, my point being is between Super Grok, ChatGPT's $20 plan, Claude's $20 plan, it is sufficient for me today. Maybe something changes, but yeah, seen this source now in multiple, or I've seen this from multiple sources now that SpaceX will acquire Cursor for $60 billion. This is funny. I just saw this. So I'm going to share because it made me. You just saw the LOL. Warren Buffett, son of a bitch. I should have built rockets. This now, because the meme is with SpaceX 20% pop yesterday. Elon made more money yesterday in one day than Warren Buffett made in his entire career. I'm old enough to remember when the poly market was, will Elon become a trillionaire this year? And I don't think it was like 30, 40% at one point. I'm sure when his SpaceX IPO got closer, but it was like a coin flip if he was going to become a trillionaire this year. Not only has he become a trillionaire on paper, his net worth now is $1 trillion more than the next richest person on the planet. So I don't have it up to this very second, and this could change. This could swing 300 trillion or 300 billion today. But it is wild when, like, basically I don't know the exact list. I'll just pull it up so I can see, and I'll share with you. Like Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Bezos, Larry Ellison, that whole group, Zuck, they're all worth around 300 billion, which again, not nothing, but they're all worth about 300 billion. Meanwhile, yeah, here we go. So I'll show you this is, I think, relatively recent. Looks like this post came out yesterday. So this is actually pre-pump. So he's actually, I think the stock's up even more now, but as of yesterday, his combined net worth is 1.3 trillion. Larry Page 300 billion, Sergey just under 300 billion, Bezos 255 billion, Larry Ellison 240 billion, Michael Dell 230, Zuck 200, Jensen 183, and then Buffett down there, a poor guy at 146 billion. There's levels to this, apparently. You know, billionaire is you know, that's old news. Anyone can accumulate $1 billion. Anyone can accumulate $250 billion. But yeah, just wild stuff. Now again, it's on paper. It's this is not. He's not. I mean, I'm sure he's cash rich, but he's not relative to his net worth. He's not anywhere remotely close to that on a cash level. A lot of that is. It is insane. Like it's bonkers. And I'm not one who thinks all billionaires are evil or people shouldn't be able to accumulate $1 billion. They create value for enough people. You know, you should make a lot of money. You should be worth a lot, at least on, you know, on paper. And he's certainly done that. My GM joke post this morning was, you know, the how did Mom, how did we get so rich? And the mom answers, Dad just cleaned toilets at SpaceX for a few years. Like, you've got janitors and cafeteria workers and secretaries that have become multi-millionaires because of the value creation with SpaceX. All that said, I'm not buying here. Like, it feels very toppish. I do fully believe it could keep going up for a while because there's only 5% in circulation. Extremely high, low float, high FTV. I'm trying to find the lockup schedule. I should have bookmarked these posts so I had them handy. But to see something like this go up 20% in a day at these levels is wild. But circulating market cap, not that great. It's just the fully diluted value is absolutely bananas. This isn't what I'm looking for. I saw a schedule that had the full breakdown. If anyone can find it or anyone has a handy, please drop it in the chat. I'd like to share that where I had the actual dates. This just has, this is the employee stock schedule. So 20% of the float unlocks August 11th and then 100% by December 9th. But there is the potential for a 10% accelerator based on Q2 earnings. You know what? I'll come back to this topic. If anyone has the schedule I'm talking about that shows all the dates side by side, please let me know. But in the meantime, we're not going to do 40 minutes cold open today. We're also not going to have a 3-hour show, but I don't want to get too serious too fast. We do have some fun, exciting stuff to talk about. There's a new Chimpers Mint today, new open edition there. Yuga Other Side team came out with a plushie yesterday, and just keeping it real, a little bit of foreshadowing there, but keeping it real, I don't have any desire to own this plushie personally. Like, I like Codas, hold a Coda. I'm just not a big plushie guy. You know, I know I've got a dozen vinyls sitting back here, but I only bought a dozen because of Burb allocation, which reminds me I need to go sell that stuff. while I'm not into the plush, I'm not into collecting plushies. I like how they did it. I might buy it because it's a token. I like that they're giving, everything we talked about yesterday in the 3-hour show, which you can find linked above. I'll also pin up top the schedule for the week. If you happen to miss that earlier, we've got the reminders for every show this week in a thread. I'll drop that up top here in a second. But 3-hour conversation yesterday about, do NFT holders matter? Does, talking alignment and the differences between how, say, it's just 2 examples, how Azuki has been moving lately compared to someone like VFriends. And, the TLDR is like, speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but my expectations are pretty minimal. I'm not expecting buckets of magical internet money just to be dropped in my wallet. I'm not expecting to get free stuff all the time. I just would appreciate some alignment, intent, some perks for being a supporter, a brand ambassador, a holder of these NFTs. I know it's not equity in the company. I don't know. I don't have any say, but part of what I think a lot of people got excited about, bought into, invested in these NFTs was the chance to be early to these brands, early to these businesses being built, and supporting them along the way. Just like if you're early to a brand on Kickstarter, you might get, the first run of the product. You might get discounts on that product. The whole idea of fandom and tracking loyalty, it's better on chain. And I think where some frustrations build up is the tech's not being used. They're just selling stuff. Whether you're selling it into a Web 2 audience or you're selling it into a Web 3 audience or both, I would love to see more experimenting on chain, more leaning into the tech. I.e., if you're going to sell a plushie, drop it as a token. Make it a real RWA. Bring it on chain. Because 2 things. One, you're able to reward, to show alignment, etc., with your existing fan base. 2, it's a way to onboard others one by one. Like it's a good top of funnel to bring them deeper into the ecosystem. If you just sell a plushie and that's a cute plushie, they buy the plushie, maybe they find their way back. I'll use this Coda as an example. Maybe they find their way to other side. It's pretty simple. It's 1,111. So first of all, they're leaning into the collectability nature of this space. It's a limited supply. You can say something's a limited supply, or you can put the tokens on chain and be transparent about exactly how many of them are. Now, do I expect this $49 plushie to 10x in value? No, absolutely not. That's not the point. You got a bunch of collectors here. You got a bunch of people that will buy this thing and keep it unboxed. And hey, plushies, vinyls, they have been known to increase in value. Maybe you want to take that as a trade, but you don't necessarily want to, you don't want to have to buy it. And if you want to trade it later, you got to box, pick, pack, and ship it. You got to box thing up. You got to sell it. Just a lot of friction involved in that process. So while I'm not likely to, I don't know, maybe I changed my mind. As of now, probably not buying this thing and unboxing it and putting it on display. I'm running out of wall space. But what I might do is buy the token, hold it, speculate on it. And if 5 years from now, the other side's a smashing hit and kids love the Coda toys, plushies, vinyls, etc. It's like the toy of the year for the holiday season 2032. Well, in that example, in that scenario, I admittedly, maybe it's unlikely, but in that scenario, that every kid 10% of the kids on the planet, they all want a Coda toy for the holidays in 2032. In that scenario, the OG Coda plushie is probably worth something, probably worth more than $49. And so having never have to take possession of it, never having to pick, pack, and ship it, I can simply buy a token, hold it, and then trade it later. I like that. I like that they're giving holders early access from 12 to 12:30 today, Eastern time. Codas and other D holders can buy this thing. Not getting it for free. You just get a 30-minute window to where, and you're not even guaranteed because there's certainly more than 1,100 holders, but you have a better, if there is crazy demand, you have a better chance of securing this thing because you're a holder and you're a supporter. This cost Yuga nothing. And yet they're driving alignment. They're showing. So I wasn't necessarily planning on having a deep conversation on a Coda plushie today, but the timing is perfect because it's a small little thing that shows they care about their holders. They care about their brand ambassadors, their earliest supporters. And here you're getting a little earlier, just like we talked about with VFriends. I tried to buy some of their hobby boxes and mega boxes. Couldn't. I struck out in the raffles. I would have got one if I was a VFriends OG NFT holder. And that is, I don't think that's too much to ask. And for founders who say, oh, we're focused on Web 2, cool, awesome, grow your brand outside of this space. But don't forget about your earliest supporters. Don't just not bring them along because honestly, I think at this point, it's just an excuse. It's just lazy. Because you don't have to go build a platform to do all this. You can work with Fidgetals or Collector Crypt or Beezy. Like there's so many third-party platforms that are, I think, respected and credible by now. You don't have to build out all the tech to do this. You don't have to store the items and then ship it when someone, just partner up with someone that's in the space. Work with another crypto native brand. I know, crazy novel concept there. Anyway, I'll stop my rant, but yeah, well, I'm not like going to trip over myself over buying a toy, a plushie, a vinyl, doesn't matter what it is. I really do appreciate the intent and driving alignment and using the technology. It's little things, but while it's little, and it may not like, again, I'm not expecting free stuff. I'm not expecting it to pump the floor. The culmination of these time and time again, it adds up. And when every time there's an opportunity, every time there's a drop, every time there's an activation, when they do little things like this, it's going to keep me as why? Now, are you going to go buy another deed today so you can get access to this plushie? Probably not. But when you start wondering why am I going to purchase? Why should I purchase this NFT? Why would I hold this thing? Beyond speculating that number might go up, you've got now more than just a reason. You know, there's several reasons, and one of them, the highest level, is you're going to be like a tier 1 customer. Your fandom, your loyalty, your support is going to be appreciated. It may not be a dollar for dollar return, nor should it be. But I think all that stuff adds up. To be fair, to give proper coverage here, I'm not saying he listened into the show yesterday, but Zagabond did post this at 2:36 p.m. yesterday afternoon, because one of the questions we asked was, why buy an Azuki? What does it mean to hold an Azuki? And I said, like, every NFT native team should be able to answer this question. It should be from across leadership. It should be a consistent answer. It should be not just from the team and leadership, but from those core supporters, from the community. If someone, I was great to hear from Ira yesterday, and clearly, not just a passionate community member, but an active participant, and had good answers in terms of the support and everything. But like, if someone were to ask Ira or Zagabond or Achilles, I see out there, why should I consider buying an Azuki? I know it's when you're talking to decentralized community, they're not employees. Like it's not their job to be able to explain or describe or encourage someone to buy your product, your NFT. It's helpful if you have a consistent answer, a consistent true north, if you will. So Zagabond's answer, well, not answer, but Zagabond's post, buying an Azuki today means collecting one of the best anime art, digital collectibles, a digital identity rooted in the garden, access to the team, early looks, and a deep community of holders across the world, the potential for your Azuki to be licensed into products like TCG, manga, and beyond, and then pride in seeing Azuki expand from collectible to global IP. Okay, it's fair. You don't have to like the answer. You could love the answer. I would like to tug on one string there and ask, okay, what does that mean when you say the potential for your Azuki to be licensed into product like the TCG manga and beyond? Is that something you've done already? Does licensing mean you'll reach out and ask if you can use, my IP, the IP of the NFT I hold? And I'm going to say yes, because I think it's cool. Like similar to what OpenSea just did. If you want to opt into their videos, you can choose to let them use, effectively license your product for free. In some cases, it's cool. Like they're not making money off those videos. Maybe they are indirectly if you count impressions and eyeballs and views. But come on, let's be real. There's 5,000 wallets, I think, already opted in, and something like 500,000 NFTs. They don't need your IP. Now, something more specific to a collection, you have some Grail Azuki Spirit. I don't know what the appropriate share is. Is it 1% of revenue derived off that? Is it 0.1? Is it 10%? I really don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer. Probably somewhere in between 1 and 10 would be my guess. But what does that mean when you say, when you say license it, you're just asking, can you use it? And I'm letting you do it for free? Or is there some structured, anytime we use your IP, you're going to get 10% of the revenue generated from, or 10% of the profits, or, like I know, I think, I don't know if it's with all the Vibes product. I don't know if it was with all those Pudgies and then Moonbirds, or if it was just the Pudgy Penguins. But Pudgy's done a good job of this. They have their whole, I actually don't even know if Project Overpass is still a thing, or they sunset that. I don't know. But as far as I know, they do continue to license IP of their holders, and there's some sort of rev share there, or maybe it's just a flat fee. I think it's pretty minimal. And I think that because if it was even $1,000 check they got from, we'd be seeing the checks. We'd be hearing more about it. Pudgy Penguin floor price right now at 4.74 ETH is $8,000. Someone got $1,000 licensing check. They're probably talking about it. Yeah, I bought this thing for $8,000 and I already got $1,000 return. Now, when you have 10,000 in a collection, not everyone's going to get that. It's only going to be select few, whether is we're looking for the grails or the real aesthetic ones, or we're going to support the most active community members. I do think there's a lot they could do with that. Our friends and partners over at Unvault make this easy and leap for crypto native brands, for NFT native brands to share in the royalty stream, share with those holders and add different criteria, components, etc. But I don't think it would be, I don't see a realistic example or scenario today where someone's going to go buy any of these NFTs and see, a return on that investment just from licensing it back to the brand. Like they're much more like it just, the math doesn't math. They're not going to develop 10,000 different designs of a toy. They might pick 4 or 5 on any given run, and profits are going to be pretty lean on that. I don't think they're making it. I mean, I don't know. I guess some of the revenue numbers that Luca touted, it vastly exceeded what I thought they were making in terms of revenue generating. So maybe there is more there than I'm thinking. But it's still, you're talking maybe a few dozen of those characters. So I don't think it's in itself not a reason why, or probably not a wise financial decision, but it's more of like, again, brand loyalty, driving, taking a holder and turning them into a brand ambassador. I've been an active community member. I'll use Yuga, for example. I've held a coda since Other Deeds Minted. I don't rock it as a PFP, but I've held one. Pretty fire. Whether it's myself or I see Mario / Frosty's in the chat, like if the next Coda plushie, they use Frosty's plushie or Frosty's IP, and they sell 1,000 of those at $50 a pop. So they bring in 50 grand, and they give 10% of that revenue back to a holder. Now, is that going to have an impact on the entire collection if one holder out of 10,000 makes $5 grand? Probably not. Not a ton, but it will some. You're locking in one. I'm assuming. I mean, I think he's already probably locked in, but you're locking in a brand ambassador, and you're showing everyone else who's either already in the community, already holding the collection, or considering it, maybe on the fence. It's a combination of all these things. I'm going to quote Von Frutton here. He says, unpopular take. There are very few reasons to hold an NFT anymore other than belonging to a community. The cost of entry is high. The benefits from that entry are unlikely to be worth that entry fee. IP deals are few, far between, and low value. TGEs are basically done. No one building with the IP. I would push back a little bit on that. Live events cost additional money to attend. And if you own an NFT, it's because you want to own the NFT, and that's okay. But I don't think a Web3 company could do anything to entice an outsider to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to buy a JPEG. Maybe I kind of agree with the last sentence there, but where I'd push back is, or counter would be, you're probably right. Like, none of those perks by themselves are going to get someone who's not already here to go buy, because then they're doing math, and the math just doesn't make sense. But for people that are here, whether it's an existing holder of said NFT or they're active participants in the space and they're looking for said new community, well, I think all those things you mentioned are, at worst case, good tiebreakers. You know, if I'm looking at, personally, I don't hold a VFriend or an Azuki. Frankly, the Azuki's far better art. But if I'm buying one right now, 99 times out of 100, I'd go VFriend over Azuki. Why? Because Gary shows that he cares about those NFT holders. He's driving alignment time and time again. And, you know, kind of like what Zagabon said there, like, access is one. You know, I saw Machiavelli. I don't think he's out there this morning randomly. You hear every day, and one day I talk about him, he's bailing on me. You guys texting with Gary V on a regular basis. I don't even know if Machiavelli holds a VFriend. Yes, entry cost is high. It's more palatable today than it was during the mania. IP deals are few and far between. I agree, but it's an and for these companies that are building. It's still in the very early days, and some are aspiring to build major brands. But these are decade-long timelines to become a top 5 TCG, to become the on-chain version of Roblox. Dude, what? I know it's very, very, very difficult to do. But what Yuga is attempting to do with Other Side is freaking cool. Like, it's awesome in the world of world building and community-driven world building. Is it going to be a profitable endeavor for Yuga and or those world builders? Time to be determined. Not today, but if they have the success that they're aspiring to do, like, there's some cool stuff there. Like, people are building with the IP. Not just holders, but other NFT brands. I saw yesterday they had a whole big thing with a kid called Beast who built a whole world inside of Other Side. Dork adds in the chat some thoughts on today and yesterday's combo. This space has spent years telling holders that IP is the end game, but almost nobody wants to explain the part where that value makes its way back to the people who help build the culture. A lot of projects meant for millions use holders as the hype machine, the funding source, the unpaid street team, the people defending the brand every day, and then go off and build toys, games, cards, merch, whatever else. And look, I'm not against IP. I want these brands to get bigger. But at some point, the question has to be asked plainly: how do holders actually benefit from any of this? Not in some vague, the brand will matter someday way. I mean the actual route back to holders. That's why the vibe pool feels like a big deal to me. This is again Dort I'm quoting here, and why I think GVC is attacking the right problem. It's not just another trust us bro roadmap thing or some hand waving we're building promise. It's a pool holders can claim from over time, funded by ecosystem activity, team contributions, GVCs, tokens, art, and even Grail assets. They're like a punk. I think Dort would know, but I believe there's, in addition to a CryptoPunk in that vibe pool, there is maybe 60 some good vibes. There's a bunch of Vibester. And that's the whole point. Don't use holders to build the brand and then yada, 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 the upside. Build the thing that lets holders win with you. Wholeheartedly agree. I don't disagree with Von Frunten. It's very hard. Few will win. Few will have a sustainable brand, a brand that the IP is relevant outside of crypto and Web3 10 years from now. But I do believe a few can. I know we had the conversation a week ago about Reccoin not, is the brand coin thesis just a short-term thing, just to help them get out of the starting gates, and then it's not gonna, it's just slow bleed out to zero. Maybe, but their first year in the drink business is on par with the best of the best in the drink business brand or the drink industry, the beverage industry. If they continue on that trajectory, maybe they don't. Maybe they shot all their shots and they've topped already. That's possible. But if they do have that Poppy type exit for $1 billion+ myself and a lot of other shareholders of Rec brands are going to be pretty happy. Now, I'm not saying every crypto native brand, every NFT brand needs to or should give equity, but it's possible. It's been done. It is possible to share in a legal and compliant way, share in the royalty stream. Like there's ways to do it. Is it hard? Yes. Is it the right move for everyone? No. I just would like to see more shots on goal, more using the tech, more experimenting on chain. And like Dor said, not just the yada, yada, yada. We're going to build this brand and become the next Disney. Because most people know that is a reach. That is a massive, audacious goal. And forget Disney, like top 5 TCG, a very audacious goal. But let's just, for a second, let's hypothetically assume it does happen. Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Then what? How do the holders win with you? Oh, well, you have an NFT that you bought in 2026, and so that thing's going to be worth more money down the road. That's not what I'm looking for. Because we're putting real dollars at risk, just speculating the asset goes up. I could go buy a Charizard and hope the same thing happens. I'm looking for something better, something that's different, something that's making those holders feel a part of something bigger that I think Good Vibes Club has done a very good job of. And you're talking about that ecosystem, like it's that pool continues to grow because they generated 2 million in royalties in the past year plus, over 2 million. There is an opportunity, there is a path to building a circular economy here, where you buy an asset, a piece of that sale goes back to the creators in the form of royalties, and there's paths now they can put that in a pool that somehow goes back to benefit the community. They can share those royalties with the holders who are you leverage, and whether it's other paths or a platform like Unvault, there's paths, there's ways to it. We're going to get to our hands here in a second. Von Frunten, so it's not top of funnel. Let's explore the bottom of the funnel. If owning an NFT is meant to create a brand ambassador, you don't keep selling them things. You make them feel like the most special people on the effing planet. You make belonging to the club look like it's the most amazing thing on the planet, so much so that outsiders are willing to buy into the community, products, events, eventually NFTs, just to be that much closer. Yeah, agreed. Again, it comes down to belonging. NFT communities are just that, communities. You have to make them feel belonging in the community is worth that. Agreed. And I think one way to make them feel they belong is a lot of simple little wins that I think should be table stakes. Things like holders get 30-minute access before anyone else does, whether it's a Coda plushie or it's a VFriends drop where it's not even 30 minutes, like holders, you get access to this thing where everyone else has to enter a raffle or go try to hunt these down at their, local card shop or Target or like that itself is not going to make anyone buy maybe it does. Fewer outsiders are going to buy the NFT because of that, but holders are going to feel like they belong, that they're appreciated. "30 minutes, Von Trump counters 30 minutes to buy plushies ain't that," in his opinion. I agree, by itself, it's not. But my point is, I don't have crazy expectations of dollars falling out of the sky into my wallet or getting a bunch of free stuff. It's every time there's an activation, there likely is an opportunity to make your holders feel like they belong, make them feel special, give them something extra that the public can't get. Is that going to make everyone happy, or some going to complain because it's not enough? Absolutely. I don't care. Tell them to check their expectations. Just like every activation, there's an opportunity to make your holders feel like they're special, that they're a better tier that they're the diamond member of the travel club program, that they're the top level of the rewards program. Like that to me should be table stakes, along with use the tech whenever all possible. I don't. It's again, I'm not saying that's going to drive the floor price. I'm not going to say that's going to bring it's not top of funnel, but it's bottom of funnel to Von Friend's point. It's going to keep your existing base that's here, and then you have people that you can build on top of that. It's really hard it's going to be hard for any of these brands to accomplish their goals. Several of them that are very large and audacious, if they're just churning users. If every time they bring someone through the top of the funnel, they're losing 3 OGs out the bottom of the funnel. Like that doesn't work. He wraps up here. He says, "I'd argue that the Rec team ran a masterclass in marketing, not because anyone saw any posts from Rec holders, but because all the holders posting about Rec, which in turn got juiced the algo, and the next branded message Rec posted got insane reach. But the people talking, because they're equity under token holders, so incentives are aligned, they created reasons to hold first and then went out to build a business." Yes and no. I do agree, but I don't know as if it's like I hold 100 shares or whatever it is in Rect. It's not why I talk about them. Like I truly have zero expectations. Oh, I have maybe 1% of an expectation, if that's a thing, about that equity stake in Rect ever becoming something that I realize I actually pull any liquidity out of. I actually ever have any sort of exit there. That's not my expectation. But why I beat the drum is because time and time again, they have shown that they care about their earliest supporters, that they reward their holders. They happen to reward them in equity, but I think a lot of people you see talking about Rec, there's only like 1,000 of those people. There's not many that were around at that time. That I don't remember the exact process, but it was, I think if you were holding at a time after they made the announcement, then you could opt in and you had to sign the paperwork. I think that was it. But again, I think it's a combination of all these little things. Quote Steve, great to see you out in the chat, buddy. He says, I'll stand for VFriends all day. A few $1,000s, 3 VCons covers the cost alone. First right to buy things, which has value above and beyond what you paid. Great community. Yeah, I think VFriends nailed it. First of all, you got to give Gary credit for doing the 3-year thing. Made it a hell of a lot easier for him now because he's delivered all the expectations. He's delivered on the roadmap. Whereas, don't get me wrong, I love my lifetime pass to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's hard because you've got people who were mentors, people who bought for 150 ETH and everything in between that have probably a different set of expectations what that lifetime membership should entail. I love the fact that I get to go to an Ape Fest every year and it costs me nothing. It's a pretty cool event. It's a pretty cool experience. I get to hang out with my monkey friends. Is that worth the current cost of admission? I think it is for a mutant, for sure. If you view it as a lifetime pass, yes, you have to pay extra travel costs, but that's with anything. As someone who's done a lot of festivals and not even festivals, but just conferences, dude, I've paid 4 figures to go to conferences that aren't nearly as fun, aren't nearly as productive. I don't meet nearly as many people as I do at an Ape Fest. I think that stuff matters. It's a different, it matters differently to different people, and it may not be for everyone. But I think, again, my point is continue to show the alignment and that you care about your holders at every opportunity you get. And while you're growing outside the space, and some have done a great job of that, some have done an okay job of that, some do it like intermittently. One drop, they'll have something for holders, the next one they don't. And that's it. Like, just show the intent. To me, that means as much or more than the dollars and cents. Personally, I know that's just one man's opinion. V-Friends aren't over, Joey. They're not going every year, and there's no guarantee. Maybe you have to buy the ticket the next time, and you only get an early access to get the ticket if you're a holder. I don't know. I would guess they probably give the OG holders still free tickets, but who knows? I think Gary cares. Yes, he probably cares more about trading cards than the conference, but I think what he's shown me is that he cares about his holders, from the free access to the early access to their guaranteed access to get these boxes, to including 15 of their community members as artists on the collection. That's really cool. Now, if you're not an artist, are you going to care about that? Maybe not. I care about it. I'm not an artist, and I care because it shows alignment. It shows that he cares about his holder base. Like I said, if I'm making a decision right now between buying a V-Friend and buying a Azuki, it's a V-Friend all day, because the founder and the team shows that they're aligned with the holders, not just looking for the holders to be a bunch of unpaid brand ambassadors and help them grow their brand. Joey, I think you were up here first. We lost you, but you're back up again. We'll go to Joey, and then we'll get Achilles in here. Excited to hear. Looking forward to hear. I said we weren't going to go 45 minutes, so we're out of the cold open. I said we weren't going to go 3 hours on, to be an NFT holder or not to be an NFT holder today. We're not going to go 3 hours, but good continuation of the conversation yesterday. I promise we will talk about SpaceX. We'll talk about these markets, which are ripping. We also got our renewal of a partnership I teased yesterday. We will announce that, and some more stuff coming up here. We have the Fed Day. So there is, that actually is tomorrow. I don't know what time it is, but we will get to all that. But if anyone else wants to get in on this conversation, if you have thoughts you're passionate about either side, feel free to. And if you are mad that we're talking about this topic once again, blame Von Frunten. I wasn't going to go there, but he's stoked. He fanned the flames, as my guy Steve used to say. So Joey, go ahead. Feel free to get your thoughts in here, and then we'll go to Achilles.
Jim, I think value is determined by the individual. So I think it's this is like a very difficult debate / conversation to have, because everybody's going to perceive value differently. For example, when I heard you talking about, holding an ape and getting to go to Ape Fest, and I used to pay all this money for conferences and whatever. And I think about, I just went this weekend to a concert. I spent $400 for a two-day festival for me and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great time, but I got to buy an ape for $8,000 or $10,000 to go to Ape Fest once a year. To me,
but it's because my point is, you're not going to do it if that's all it was. It's much more than that. That's just one of the perks.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying it's only that, but what I'm saying is for me to assess, I'm saying me personally, my assessment of value, right? I understand there's more to it than obviously just tickets to Ape Fest when you buy an ape. I mean, we've seen it. So that's what I'm saying. This is a difficult debate to have, because everybody looks at it differently. For me, hearing you talk about Ape Fest and other side, none of that stuff for me equates value, right? And same with all these other ones. For example, if there was a way, I honestly would buy if there was if every V-Friend got early access to every V-Friend's trading card drop from now until eternity, which is quite possible, I actually might go out and buy a V-Friend, because I want to be able to get access. This V-Friends
imagine Joey, imagine the next V-Friends drop. It includes a few Grail Wimby cards. They do some deal, and it's not out of he just did he has Mr. Beast rookie card in there. If he can land the biggest content creator on the planet, potentially could land the biggest athlete on the planet. Like Gary's had a lot of these athletes, these stars, these celebrities at his conference. Like he has a relationship with these people. It's not out of the realm. He clearly understands the card space. He's doing well in the card space. And yeah, for a collector, I think, are you going to buy an ape just to go to one ape fest? Probably not. People do, or people go to ape fest and they immediately buy an ape afterwards. Like that happens every single year. But same thing with the cards. Are you going to buy a VFriend just to get access to one Topps Chrome drop? Probably not. But if you can see the vision, you think this is, you believe Gary and this is something he's going to build the rest of his life. Well, I don't know, the math, it's not that hard to make it math, especially when we're talking like a couple grand. We're not talking $50,000 or $100,000. Like it's not that difficult to see, a direct financial ROI on access, perks, and utilities.
And again, and I agree with you. And I just think that's why, again, I go back to my original statement, why this is a difficult conversation to have, because everybody is going to perceive their value differently. Like there are definitely some NFT communities out there that I don't see the value in, because what I care about and what I want don't match up to the cost, right? Like, and do I honestly don't think we're going to get the PFP resurgence that everybody's hoping for. I think like a few months ago, 6 months ago, whatever it was, when some of these NFTs were hitting all-time highs or they were going up again, like I just don't see it. And maybe that's me being a negative Nancy or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, maybe some people are still holding out hope. I don't have hope. My desires, my request of all these NFT native brands, I truly don't care if the floor price could stay the same. It could go down. Like I don't like. Would I love it if they all go back to all-time highs? Sure. I'm not an idiot. But I don't, that's not part of my expectation. My expectation is not like, oh, the NFT PFPs are gonna, all 100x from here. Like I have zero expectations of that. My request isn't do something that drives floor price. It's do things that show you care about those who are still here or that enter in give them a reason, and it doesn't have to be dollar for dollar. Just show that they're a different tier of customer. Just talk about in the form of like loyalty rewards programs. A lot of stuff that Steven and Scott talked about in the Everything Token. Some still do that. Some do it sparingly. Some really lean into it, and others don't do it at all. It's like, why are you someone said,
but Cap, some don't have the money though.
It's not always about money though.
Problem, right? Like some of them don't have the money because, to your point, they're not charging royalties when
that's
their
on
stuff
them.
Gets traded because they didn't migrate to a new contract. They don't have a legitimate business that generates them revenue. So this whole idea of like, I have lifetime access for whatever I paid for this, $100, $1,000, and it's really difficult to drive any type of value.
I just, this is where I gotta push back, because
there's no money.
I gotta push back though, because it's they if they have no money, well, they need to be doing things to generate revenue. They need to be introducing new products, new services. They need to find a path to revenue. And when they do, it's just a margin game. Instead of selling something and retailing it for $100, it retails for $110, and every holder gets $10 off. This is a very simplistic example, but that's my point. Anytime there's an activation, anytime you're selling something, whether it's a plushie or a box of cards, and hey, in those two examples, there's not even a discount. It's just early access. So the answer of like, oh, they don't have any money to do this, like like what I'm talking about, it's self-funding. Like it doesn't need money. It's just, you just prioritize your holders. You make them a higher tier of customer. You show loyalty. Like you build an on-chain loyalty program. Like it's not that difficult. And whether they have a treasury or not, they don't have one, but they got to do more of this stuff. And it's either you bake in some perks that cost you nothing, like early access, instead of, you have something that's a hot demand drop and it just gets botted and your holders are left on the sidelines. That sucks. And if it's that hot, maybe there's no discount, but if it's that hot, they probably can flip these things in the secondary market for a gain, especially if they lean into the technology and they partner with a Fidgetals or a Beezy, and it's a RWA token that they could they can sell. Again, this stuff doesn't, these programs that like what I'm talking about doesn't, to drive alignment doesn't cost anything. And if it is a discount, it's a margin game. Change your pricing to where you can afford to sell it to a discount to your holders. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and answer or respond if you'd like, and then we'll get to Achilles.
Oh, no, you're good. I mean, I'm on board here. I've said all the time, like, you don't have to give free money to make people feel special, right? Like I said before, like when we've talked about Ape Fest in the past, I've said before, like there should be a delineation between a mutants ticket and an apes ticket. Like apes get a different entry, like a faster entry. Apes get like a better viewing area. Apes get like, they get to, I don't know, they get to meet the artist or something. I don't know, right? Like you don't have to give anything. You don't have to give free money. You don't have to give things away for free. You just have to make people feel like they're special. Shit, you could just give apes a special lanyard that lets them show off the fact that they're an ape versus a mutant. And I bet you they would be happy because they get to walk around and be like, I'm an ape holder and you're not, right? Like there's so many ways that you can make your community feel special and desired without just free money. And some of it is such a low lift.
Agreed.
That I don't understand why communities don't do it.
100% agreed. A lot of it is, and that's what I'm talking about, low lifts, nothing crazy, baked in realistic expectations. Just have the monthly activation. Do something once a month and make sure that your holders get a little bit of a benefit. And then all of a sudden, it's every holder has their own story to tell. Some people it might be Ape Fest. Some people it might be, I get a Bape drop and I got that something that other people had to stand in line for. Some people it might be a plushie. Like if you continually to do this, sooner or later, you have something that resonates with that's a specific holder, something that they can get excited about, something that they're going to stick around for. So I think one of my biggest unpacking here is I think, one of the things Von Friend said where it's like, it's bottom of funnel. Like don't this access, this alignment, these perks for holders isn't as much as driving new holders and people to go buy your NFT because they get this utility or this perk. Rather, it's retention. It's consumer loyalty. It's what's the lifetime value of someone who bought an NFT in 2021 and they still hold it in 2041. I'm guessing it's pretty high. And you got a much better chance of those people still being around a decade from now if they feel like they belong, they feel like they're treated better than just an average retail consumer off the street. Achilles, thoughts on this?
Hi, GM.
GM.
Yeah, I mean, continue on like yesterday's conversation, but not only. I think there's a big like blurry definition of what NFTs are. That's for starters, and each project is pretty much different. I mean, the problem is we always try to compare without actually putting in ground rules kind of or benchmarks so that we can start comparing. In the case of like say Azuki or even Bored Apes or PFP projects, if you want to call them PFP projects, I think it's pretty clear. I think the people who kept holding and who bought like grails or rare stuff, and I keep coming back to this kind of grail definition, grail approach, they did not buy for access. They did not buy for a ticket, for a discount, for when you buy and take the comparison, and when you buy an Audemars or a Patek, you don't buy it for getting a discount on a second Patek or something. No, you buy it for several reasons, amongst which like being part of what is potentially a community, having some kind of level of identity in a sense. And and what you said, Cap, yesterday is very important, is that NFTs solved a lot of the problems of what collecting like physical items like watches or cars, etc., actually did. And so when we understand that concept and we start like really and projects start really understanding that those identities are things that people hold on to and we kind of keep for the longest term, not because we're hoping that we're going to get this discount. And that's for starters. Second, it's all about communication. When you buy, again, I'm sorry, I keep comparing to watches because I do believe that there's a very big convergence with collecting, especially on the watch level, because it's the most like portable collectible that holds the most value out there. So that's why I'm comparing to NFTs. Patek, when you buy a Patek, you get access for life to a newsletter by Patek that is sent to your home for life. And so that is it major? Not really, but is it something that you would feel potentially important receiving? Like important in a sense, like you would feel like cared about by the brand when you receive it? Kind of. I mean, you do feel that there's this connection with the brand, that there's these updates. That's number two. Number three, when you are invited, and that's something that happened with me, when you are invited to an exclusive event, weirdly enough, yes, sometimes you do not pay, but sometimes they do ask you to participate in something. For example, we had a watchmaking class that we were invited to, and at the end of the class, we were kind of proposed to participate in supporting the watchmaker who came and gave us the class, and we all contributed. And it was I imagine it was pretty sizable because I had a lot of friends with me and they kind of contributed. And so we didn't really need to pay, but in a way we did pay. And we didn't care because we enjoyed the conversation, we enjoyed the experience. That's number two. And number three, I really think, I mean, when I read these posts and when I read, okay, trying to define what the NFT gives you, we forget one thing. And that's something that we can apply on all levels of investment, of collecting, of anything we do in life. There's a feeling underneath everything we do. There's a feeling. When we were excited about Apple, Steve Jobs made it happen. When the iPhone came out, yes, it's an amazing product, definitely an amazing product, but Steve Jobs made it happen. That energy that he had, the way he explained it, the way the identity was portrayed. Again, we could like talk about Steve Jobs for hours and kind of debate his personality, etc. But we cannot remove the fact that the CEO of this company kind of pushed this company to the next level. Same with Elon right now with SpaceX. To just jump on the topic for a second, I mean the fact that Elon is heading SpaceX and started it, created that energy, created that FOMO into buying a stock that, if you want to look on paper, it's literally trading at more than 100p price to earning, PE, right? So if you want to just look at defining everything in life, it doesn't work because there are so many layers. And weirdly enough, a lot of people do not understand. Warren Buffett was one of the early ones who understood this because he built Berkshire and he was organizing a yearly event. And people, all of the investors of Berkshire Hathaway were going to that event and were FOMOing to actually go and see him talk for hours, but also communicate. And you have, in the event, you have shops and you have experiences, and you meet other investors of Berkshire. So my point is, there's a feeling layer that a lot of people do underestimate.
Absolutely. Well said. I've never been to a Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, but I have been in Omaha. I actually had a partnership. I had stores inside of Nebraska Furniture Marts, which is one of their retail brands. So they only have 3-4 locations, but they're massive. It's like IKEA meets Best Buy times about 10. Huge stores. Actually, their Dallas store is the largest retail store, maybe in the world. It's in the US. I think square footage wise, it might be slightly smaller than the Macy's in Manhattan, but it is just a incredible. It's like a wonder of the modern retail world. Anyways, point being, I was in Omaha right before one of those meetings. It's like, it is an event. Like, people buy Berkshire Hathaway stock, yes, hoping it goes up, but their primary drivers, they want to come to the meeting. They want to hang out. They want that access. And just like you were describing, oh, you buy a watch, you get in a newsletter, you get in a mailer. Are people going to go drop that kind of money on a watch just for that? No, but it's little things like that add up that shows we care about our clients. You know, and you say, like, I mean, you know the space far better than me, but I do believe with some of those luxury items, whether it's a Rolex or a Hermes bag, a handbag, like you're some cases you can't even get it if you're not an existing holder or customer, and others just you're much more likely to get the new model or the rare up and coming launch if you're an existing client as opposed to just someone new off the street. Is that, I know I'm not describing it well, but that's I guess directionally accurate, right, Achilles?
Totally. Good luck getting a Nautilus from Patek right now, or even a Royal Oak from Audemars, or a 222 from Vacheron. You cannot get it. You have to be a current customer, and you have to have spent money in the shop, etc., etc., etc. And the worst part is we can do it much better in NFTs. I mean, we don't understand. I think a lot of people do not realize that we already solved a major problem, number one, and number two, we're freaking lucky. We're like lucky as hell to have this community where you just put in a PFP on your profile picture, and suddenly you have 200, 300 people who are following you, and those guys that are following you and connecting with you, those are builders. Those guys have spent thousands of dollars buying a JPEG, right? And those guys have the time to be on X, have the knowledge to be on X, have the knowledge to understand what a community is. So those guys are potential connections for you, for your business, for what you do, and it's uncomparable to anything out there. I mean, maybe a watch club, an exclusive watch club, or a golf club, or etc., like something really exclusive, but I think this is very, very underlooked in the space, and that's why I do believe, like today, Cap, like just do three things: bring back royalties for NFTs, like in some kind of way. I don't want to go into the technicalities. Bring back the proven PFP on X. What will happen? I really think things will shift gears quite swiftly, and that's my opinion. But to your point, I mean, you gotta really try to understand. I mean, in those projects, like the founders describing, okay, yeah, we do this, the NFT gets you access, gets you. We don't care. The point is, we want the connection, the communication, the collective. I think that's what most of the people sitting here taking time to listen to this, that's what they want. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well said. And I think why I won't come off of this, hey, you're building in Web3, you're building in crypto, you sold NFTs, you should drive alignment, you should show loyalty to your holders, partially because it's not a Web3 concept. It's existed throughout time, at least my lifetime. Like this isn't new stuff. You can just do it better on chain. It's easier to track. It's easier to activate this sort of stuff. And for those that choose not to, it's either they just really don't care about their holder base, or they're lazy, or they're I don't know. I can't describe it. Cab, always enjoy hearing from you as a builder, as a founder in this space. I'm curious, do you get tired of hearing from holders who ask what's in it for me, or why should I buy a Klano NFT versus just buying the blind box toys?
Oh man, great convos. Thanks for having me. Do I get tired of it? Not really. I think I mean sometimes it can get heavy when you're like multitasking or you're busy actually like building, but I think we sort of knew what we were getting ourselves into, and the reality of it is that when we launched Klanos, it was still like it was basically end of 2022, and the meta was still coming off the back of like, that was the point of Web3 was sort of like this idea of, and I think it's still true today, compounding additionality, and all the little things that can compound for the people that not only discover your brand in its early growth cycle, but are pretty much the reason that it does it is able to grow in the early stage. Like, dude, we could build an animated brand. It would fucking take us like 7 to 10 years if we were doing it with no money in our basement. Like, that's the reality of it, right? Like, we and it would take a very patient type of person to be doing that and hoping that it succeeds. And some people do that in, people that build like indie brands and things like that. But if you're given the keys to the castle and you're able to expedite that process really fast and pre-package it with a community, I think you have to find balance. And so when I say we knew what we were getting ourselves into, I think that's what I'm talking about, is this sense of you don't want a situation that feels a little bit like a hostage situation where like everything always has to be free. But I think you guys nailed it when you said it's about looking for additionality anywhere you can. If you're a Klano, we try to make you feel special at any of the events we would do or any of the launches we do. And I think the same is true. Like that, I think that example of like even just sometimes it's the things you least expect, like a lanyard at Ape Fest would actually be pretty powerful because of the signal it sends. I'm an ape and you're not. You're a mutant. That stuff is really important. I think Achilles nailed it too when he was talking about like one of the biggest utility propositions, I think, is the collective and the sense of belonging. That's a super powerful thing. It's tried and true. We've been collecting stuff for millennia as humans, and we've been using that as an identity layer, as a status layer. That doesn't go away, and I think it's a really important piece of the puzzle. And then your job as a brand is to sort of lean into that to enhance that experience and enable it wherever you can. Of course, on the side, like on our end, we're looking for ways to come up with way more interesting ways to lean into alignment. But I think sometimes it doesn't even have to be that complicated. Like I say, I keep using the word additionality, but it's something I believe in. It's by participating and supporting the brand and taking a chance on it, you should be made to feel like you're part of the family. At some point the brand, probably doesn't outgrow that, but grows pretty big, if you play all your cards right in like Web 2. But even then, the people that took an early bet should be made to feel like they were there when it started. They are part of the reason why it worked out, because you need money and you need support and you need community for these brands to actually like succeed over time. And I think that should be a constant reminder. Now, you guys have been talking about like the other side of the spectrum, which is like, yeah, there's a lot of brands that are struggling for money because royalties are down or non-existent. On Solana, actually, I should caveat that royalties, we went through that cycle like years ago, and royalties are locked, so we have them. Not that volume's crazy, but we still get them, and it is a huge value add for brands that are trying to build. But yeah, it's a complicated question. Alignment is something I really believe in because I know that I could have probably, with a bunch of friends, or our current team, have built something special, but it would have taken a really, really, really long time. And we would have had to been doing this while we have like other jobs. And when you're in that sort of situation, if you're not diehard, like you lose interest as a builder, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're in a very, very fortunate position that we have a community. We use those stats. We use the stats of the money we've made, of the community that we have, of how engaged they are. We use that all the time when we talk to potential licensors, licensees, or studios or things like that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel maybe like a little bit of a layer of debt to the people that did take a chance when things were unsure, especially in a space where like trust is something that's really hard to come by, because like there's rugs that happen left and right. It's probably one of the dark sides of the space. So I think that, I think that finding whatever balance you can to make those holders feel special because they're taking a shot on you. The last thing I want to say though, is that it seems to me like everyone always forgets the most important thing in these conversations. And maybe that happens when floor price is down or things like that. But sometimes I'm like, dude, they are still collectibles and these are non-$0 assets. Like you can sell it. And if you're lucky to be part of a project where it's basically like, even in dark times, it's like a stable coin, basically, let's say like you buy a collectible for $1,000 and 2 years later, it's basically still 1,000 or 1,200 or maybe 2,000. And you're getting all this free stuff in the interim, and you can sell that whenever you want, which you can do with digital collectibles. It is something to think about. And I think sometimes there's holders that want pure, again, I believe in alignment, but sometimes I think that there's people that might want like absolute alignment and basically constant like revenue flow for holding these things that they can essentially dump. And by the way, like you can't really sell your membership to a golf club. People spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on golf memberships or country club memberships. And it's not like you can sublease those memberships. You pay for them, it's done, you get what you get. I think the value out of Web3 is that you can add a layer where you can offload that membership almost for the same price that you paid for it, or sometimes it goes up, which is kind of awesome. And if it goes down, it's still not zero.
Exactly.
So even if you lose 50%, it's still not zero. So you can, I think the brands, sorry, Captain, I'm like rambling, but I think the brand's duty is to make sure that you honor the cool factor of those collectibles, and you talk about them as often as you can when you're trying to grow in Web 2, because that's a value proposition for those holders. And then as well, you have that layer of figuring out alignment as best you can without busting your treasury, basically.
Absolutely. Well said. And yeah, no apology needed. I appreciate you adding. You have obviously a unique perspective as a founder and can speak from that side, not just as a holder. And you had a lot there to unpack, and I saw we had Mike join us as well. So we'll continue this big brain conversation here in a second. But well, first you said this is a collectible. I have Phil's Board FM post pulled up here. He shared this a little bit ago. We've got to stop trying to make sense or mathing everything in the digital collectible space. People can and will spend crazy amounts of money to simply collect. See Pokemon. Of course.
And wait, you're saying Pokemon. I'll give you guys one that's even crazier, just so that people understand that, dude, there's value in these things left and right. Some Disney pins sell for $9,000 easy.
Yep. He says, of course, some rev share could be the cherry on top, but many are simply buying to collect and hold. Bingo. So while I agree, what I would like to continue to challenge the NFT brands on is make your collectible better. Like give me like, okay, I'm a collector. I've got $1,000 I'm going to spend this year on pure collectibles, and that I hope they might appreciate in value. Well, if buying your digital collectible grants me some sort of access or perks or something beyond just the collectible, where I pulled out my box of baseball cards last week and went through them, and that's the first time I even looked at them in like a year. And last time, so I did as well. I pulled them out, looked through them, and I realized no, other than them appreciating value, there's no perks, there's no utility, there's no cherry on top of whatever whatsoever. No, like I hold a complete 1987 Topps baseball set, the wood grain cards. God damn it, Topps, why didn't you give me, instant access to the EQL raffle for the V-Friends drop? I've been a collector of Topps longer than some of these people even been alive. Well,
that's the thing, is they can't.
They don't know exactly. They can't, because
you could walk into like the event and have a photocopy or like a black market version and show the security guard. And the point is, with NFTs, you can do that, which is
exactly
amazing.
Exactly. That is so. The technology enables more. You can build a better collectible. A digital collectible can be superior to a physical collectible if you do these other things, right? It doesn't just happen. But like I saw Joey came back up, and I do want to get Mike in here, and we'll go back to Joey. But like using your example as well, is like it may increase in value, it may decrease in value. And Joey said, it's hard to justify the purchase price of an ape or a mutant just to go to Ape Fest. Again, that's not the only reason. But if that were the only utility, if that was the only perk or utility that you got by holding that particular asset, well, okay. When was Ape Fest? I don't remember exactly. November last year? Or early November, I think first week in November. So my my math might be a little off, but you could have bought an Ape Fest in November for, or an ape for 6.69 ETH. Went to Ape Fest, and this year you call it lucky if you want. You could have actually sold your pass for more than you bought it for. To Cap's point, even if it went down, you're not buying that one. If that one thing that the perk, the utility access was the reason you wanted the thing, could it go to zero? Yeah, sure. But you're not, most likely, you're not buying it for, if it's an ape, 9.2 ETH, or if it's a mutant, 1 point whatever. Like, if you would have bought a mutant last year to get into Ape Fest, you had opportunities to sell it for more than you would have bought it for, and still got the Ape Fest experience. So it's not like you're spending $3,000 to go to an event. It's you're buying a collectible that said collectible also gets you access to said event.
Yeah, I think that the brand's duty in that framework is to do whatever it can to stay relevant, because that is value for the collectibles. Sorry, when I'm just talking strictly for the collectibles, I'm not talking about like the utility layers. And so that's why it's like, if you're taking a bet on a brand that seems like they will do whatever they can to stick around, and these are like the flagship brands in Web3, then you're taking a bet on that longevity. I think that's the bet most people were taking as well. I think the most interesting thing you said is that like digital collectibles are almost cooler than physical collectibles, and I really believe that. I just pinned something that I posted like last week, but basically, I like digital collectibles. I don't think that there are any sort of new behavior. I just think it's a new iteration of interacting with them. And culture is just heading more digital. It's like, for us, we're still getting used to it, but the 10-year-olds, even the 7-year-olds, like it's what they know. It's so natural to them. And I think that as more of that generation becomes like almost perma digital, or it's such an important part of their lives, then collectibles inevitably become digital in a natural way with no friction. Meaning, I don't even need it to be explained.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to disagree. I was at a card show this weekend,
Yeah.
and there was 50% of the attendees, maybe not 50%, 40% were under the age of 12. Like, every other person that walked up to my table to buy or trade or sell a sports card or a Pokemon card was under the age of 12. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't agree that like that generation is moving so digital that like we just have, like, I'm a fan of NFTs. I believe in them, but I do not agree with that. If you go to card shows on weekends wherever you live, I would argue close to 50% of the attendees are under the age of 15.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're not switching to digital. They love holding the cards in their hands.
So that's okay. So that's 100% true, because it's easy. There's no friction, and it's kind of like doesn't need explaining. I guess what I'm saying is like hindsight is 2020, and these things take years to come to fruition. But I do think you'll have a generational shift where it won't need to be explained, because many will lean into it, and at some point in time, it's just normal and it's just as cool. Only there's an added layer of utility possibilities and things like that. Will physicals not be cool? I don't think that's ever true. I think it's tactile. There's all those value adds. It's probably why the kids love it, and they can like physically trade with each other. I'm saying the more companies lean into it and the more that becomes a meta. I mean, dude, even the internet was considered a gimmick when it started, right? And I can't even imagine my life without like that. Even AI is going through that cycle. I just think that at some point there is a shift where it's just so obvious and normal, that it's cool, and it just so happens that you can also inject other layers on top of it. So you still have, obviously, you've got ownership, provenance, like community story, all that kind of stuff that every collectible should have. But with the new tech layer, you can add stuff to it that just adds. It's just additional. So by the way, I totally get your perspective, and maybe I jumped the gun a bit too quick saying like the 7-year-olds and 12-year-olds, but I do think over time there still is going to be some sort of generational shift towards digital. Doesn't mean that physical goes away at all. but I think digital will be accepted as normal. And once that's true, it's just normal to be collecting digital as well as physical.
Yep, well said. And not just saying this because he's on the stage, but I think it's platforms like Beezy that's going to help with that adoption. You know, the kid goes to a card show, they buy some cards, they see a Beezy booth. The next thing you know, they're ripping, you know, they're pulling claw machines and they're collecting NFTs, and they probably don't even know it's an NFT. They're collecting a physical collectible, albeit in the digital form, in the RWA form. And I do think, I mean, I truly believe this. I think that the Beezys of the world are doing a lot to onboard a wave of users who, many of which probably don't even realize they're, you know, an active on-chain consumer. And some of them will probably become on-chain active participants. We're seeing it with the Panini cards. I did not expect Panini NFTs to be doing this, but it's happening. Physical card collectors are now collecting digital cards, and a lot of them don't even understand it's actually an NFT. They just think it's, you know, another division of Panini, which I guess it is. But we'll go back to Joey for comment. I do want to get Mike in here, and then I saw Edward up with his hand as well. Before I do that, Mayhem shared, just speaking of access and collectibles and NFTs, I know this is one very specific example, and it's not, I don't expect every NFT PFP to do this, but this might be the, you know, you talk about justifying the current cost of admission. Loud Punks, their floor is 0.28 ETH. It's $500. And I don't know, like maybe I don't know. I could go look what tickets are to go to Rolling Loud, what the Rolling Loud in May tickets were. Maybe $500. You know, 3-day event. It's kind of like the going $300 to $500 is kind of the going rate for a 3-day festival now. You can go buy a Loud Punks for basically $500 and get access not just to one, but it's a lifetime pass to, I mean, these are, you know, there's some major headliners. It's not necessarily I'm not like, I enjoy hip hop, but it's not like if I'm going to go to a concert or festival, these wouldn't be my first choices. But if I was into it, like, it's kind of a no-brainer. Why would you go spend $300 for a one-time pass when you can go buy $500 and get a lifetime pass? Like, and now I know before anyone gets in, like, well, how does that sustainable? How does that, because it's not the only way they're selling tickets. It's just a way to identify who, again, who's the top tier of their customers? Who are their biggest fans? Well, the ones who want to come back every year. Well, how do they know that? It's not because they can see that I still hold a 1987 top set in my closet, because they can't see that, but they can see on chain that I bought a Loud Punks NFT and I've held it and there's probably some sort of, I'm guessing, I hope they're leaning into the tech when they check in, that they can not only see that they've held the NFT, they can see which concerts they went to. Like there's so much that can be done here. And a lot of this it's not, again, the stuff we're talking about is not crazy. It's not exorbitant cost. It's just, again, driving alignment. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name. It's Chinese or Mandarin. I apologize. OXLAOFASHI says, in quotes, was quoting Cab earlier, says, build the thing that lets holders win with you, is the whole alignment problem in one sentence. And win with you can mean a variety of different things. If Klanos goes on to become, you know, in 2027, they're the #1 animated series on the planet, well, I hope those Klanos holders are winning along the way. I don't know.
I think, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll let you go first.
No, it's all you.
Okay, well, I agree there. So long as it doesn't like break the bank or whatever, you know, you're still operating a business. But I think this idea that, yeah, dude, if you know, one day, I don't know, we're like a top series, if series are even still a thing in the future, and we're a brand that's recognized globally and whatever, all that fun stuff that we all dream of, you know, the few thousand people that took the early bet and allowed us to operate a business in the early stage and were part of the statistics that helped us get other deals and stuff. I think that was always the dream for Web3.
Exactly.
It's something that Web2 cannot do and won't do. it doesn't make sense to them, for obvious reasons. But I think there's a beauty in being able to figure out ways to reward and see fandom and acknowledge it, which is something that most brands or even artists can't do. Post Malone can't look at the first 1,000 likes on White Iverson on SoundCloud and say, guys, everyone that did this and shared it, I can see it. Come, all my concerts, your VIP, you started it with me. They can't do that. I mean, they can maybe sift through early comments and attempt to do that, but it's very difficult. And I think it's something that we think a lot about is we're in a very, very, it's not easy. It's Web3. There's a lot of expectations, which is what we're talking about. But I think we know we're in a very privileged position to be able to do what we're doing.
I sometimes, again, really appreciate you joining the conversation, Sharon Day. Sometimes it's refreshing to hear from people like you, Kev, because you get it. And I think where sometimes I feel like I'm taking crazy pills is it seems so obvious. Like it's not overly complex. I think so many people get hung up on, there's most of the TGs have already happened and there's not more. Yeah, okay, cool. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not expecting that. I'm like, a lot of this is just do things that a lot of these brands have done for years. You can just do it better because you have technology that they don't have. You can really build a grassroots community much, like your point, much faster than you would if it was just you and your friends trying to build this thing in your basement. Like
I think that just the one thing I'd say, and it's something a lot of people, unless they join the team and they see it for themselves, I can say the same about basically every project. What a lot of people don't see is you're still building a startup, expected at the speed of light, trying to figure so much shit out internally. And sometimes I think a lot of that, what comes off as lethargy from the outside in, is not on purpose. It's a lot of figuring things out. And so sometimes when we're slow, I say I mean other projects as well, to be doing some of those things or things that seem a little bit pedestrian. It's just absolute warfare internally as you're figuring out all the logistics, just everything, fucking even staff management, right? All these little things. And over time, as you mature, your job is to put the right foundations and systems in place to start to automate that stuff. But yeah.
It's insanely hard to build a startup. Sorry, Mike, I saw we lost you. If you want to get back up here, I promise we'll get to you next. It's insanely hard to build a startup that's successful. I guess anyone can go build a startup, but to build one that's successful and sustainable, extremely hard. Double, triple, 10x that in terms of the difficulties and the headaches and expectations when you're building it on chain, when you're building it with an NFT community. Because likely you're going to have a variety of different expectations, as we talked about earlier. And so those who are really leaning into it, I guess I don't want to continue to talk myself in circles here, but my point is why would you deal with the headaches if you're not going to leverage the perks and benefits that come with it? Unless it's solely just to basically, I don't want to say use those earliest supporters and collectors to basically get free brand ambassadorship and help them, use their sweat equity to help you build the IP and then just forget about them. It's poor form. And I think it's short-sighted. Mainly because all the stuff we're talking about, it shouldn't cost you. You shouldn't be spending money to do all this stuff. It's a lot. Oftentimes the alignment is simple, low to free stuff, or it's just a percentage of your sales that you can bake into your price points. There's so many ways. But before I go around to the rest of these hands, I got to ask one of my favorites in the chat. Diego says, I got to ask you about your beanie. He wants you to know that he loves you and why Raptor is your favorite dinosaur.
That's just because he's a raptor, man. Don't answer that. He's the yellow raptor, dude. Okay, before I'll shut up. But just to answer your point is, if you're building here, I think there's been, there's a lot of rugs. So of course there's a lot of people that came here when the going got easy, which is why early Silicon Valley, you have so many failures or grifters or whatever. But if you're a long-term builder here, and I can say the same about many projects that are figuring the growth of the space out, I think you got to have this borderline psychotic belief in this altruistic beauty of being able to sort of align with and reward those early patrons, which I think is a good way of putting them, and doing things that are just not possible in Web 2, and accepting that it's actually really cool. It's really tough, but I think you got, I mean, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But you got it to deal with how tough it is to build here. You really got to believe in why this is important to you as a builder, and to perhaps the way you think industries can be built out. But it's, yeah.
Well, salute to all of you that are doing it. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy to build a startup. It's even harder building one in a relatively novel space and doing things that others haven't even thought about doing. But that's part of the fun. That's, as an entrepreneur myself, that's what really, maybe it's not why I got into the space. I got into the space because I could make money flipping Top Shot packs early in the day, ripping and flipping. But why I got so excited about the space, one of my earliest tweets after joining the Bored Ape Yacht Club, literally within 2 weeks of the thing minting out, I said, I feel like I just joined a unicorn startup with like 2,500 of my closest friends who I haven't even met yet. And that spirit of, was it because it was so many great members that I became quick friends with, and some of them become some of my best friends to this day? Yes. But that started because we all felt like we were part of something. There was alignment. They were very early on, we knew, at least we believed, that Gordon and Garga and the team, they cared about us. They really appreciated, the help they got in launching that business. And that's rarely been questioned. I just like that is, I think at the core of this space is what you just described. And there's some magic when you lean into that. And again, it's not about the floor ripping up to all-time highs. It's just, I think again, back to Von Frun's earlier take, it's like bottom of funnel. It's as much about retention and loyalty both directions as it is any sort of value accrual or appreciation on a digital collectible. It's just you can do more than you can with a physical collectible, and to me that's powerful. Let's go. We're gonna go, Mike. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do want to get you in here if you want to join the conversation. Just throw a quick hand up, and I will. We'll go Joey, then we'll go to Mike, and then we'll bring in Edward to the conversation. Joey, go ahead and get in here with a response.
Yeah, so I keep dropping down account because I keep getting work phone calls, so I apologize. But so first thing I want to comment on is the mathing thing. You're never gonna stop mathing because we do it. It's done, and we talk about like comparing, membership to the Bored Ape Yacht Club to a country club. Every single person that looks at a country club does the math, right? Like if even Disney, for example, if I'm going to buy an annual pass to Disney and I say, okay, do I want to buy the weekday pass, which is Monday through Thursday or whatever it is, Monday through Friday for $400 a year? Or do I want to buy the 7-day pass at $1,000 a year? Okay, well, realistically, like how many times during the week can I go versus the weekend? If I know I can go all the time during the week and I don't need to go there on a weekend, I'm going to spend less money, buy the $400 pass instead of the $1,200 pass, which gives me weekend access, right? Like we're always doing math to equate value. To say we need to stop mathing in Web3 with NFTs, to me, that just doesn't make sense. Like it's just never going to happen, right? Like, again, it goes back to my original statement of like value is different for everyone. Some people are just collectors, and that's okay. And again, I go back to my point of being at the show. There are people that come up to my table at a show and they are purely collectors. They're not in it for the flip. They're not buying and selling. They're not doing any of that stuff. They walk up to the table, they see a card they want. Let's say it's a Caleb Williams raw rookie card, checkerboard, stickered at $250, last sale. They are not going to negotiate. They are literally going to say, I want this card for my personal collection. Here's $250. Then you've got people that are going to walk up to your table and they're going to go, okay, last sale was $250. How about I give you $230, $225, right? Whatever, because they're probably not really collecting. They're in it for the flip. They're going to try to hold it, hope he has a good season, then maybe sell it for $3 or $325, right? So like the behaviors are no different in this space than they are in IRL collecting. Some people care about what you get, some people don't. Some people are collecting for personal, some people are doing it for the money. So the mathing's never going to stop, no matter how much we want to say, like, don't math, because use the Loud Punks as a perfect example. You just math the math, right? I could buy a Loud Punks NFT for $300 and have access to
Which
every
by the
Loud
way,
Punks
is
at
the
a
same.
higher tier.
Which, by the way, that's the same cost as one single VIP ticket. So you can buy an NFT for $500 and get access to shows for life,
It's like,
or
yeah, and it's
one
VIP,
VIP
right?
ticket to one show.
Yeah, and
And
that
you could
Loud
probably
Punks
sell it
NFT,
for the same price.
Exactly.
and that Loud Punks NFT gets you, like, I think it gets you like VIP access. It gets you like a special viewing area and like all this stuff with it. It's not just a ticket. So like, again, like there's all kinds of in this space. You have to be able to offer things, and it makes it really difficult, because to your point with your tops trading cards, they don't have to offer you anything. It's a trading card. It is what it is. You either collect it for yourself or you hope the value goes up. In this space, you have to tailor what you're doing for all the different people. You've got to tailor it for the collectors who are literally just holding because they want to hold as a collector. You need to have something for the people that want utility and want value. You need to have something that helps people buy and sell, so that way there's activity in your collection and you're generating royalties, and like you're having to really build stuff that appeals to all the different behaviors, which makes it really difficult long term.
You need liquidity every step of the way for a healthy collectibles ecosystem. And what Joey's saying, which I think is absolutely correct, is it means you need to have systems in place to support all those different types of demographics, collectors, flippers, whatever. And I can say the same about anything: sports cards, Pokemon cards. You do need the flippers as much as you need the long-term holders, which usually are what fosters better community and are oftentimes the stronghold. But dude, you need it all. And I think having the ability, you're multitasking like crazy, but to create systems that sort of are healthy across the board is really important. Something we're all figuring out, I think.
And Pokemon doesn't have to do that, right? Like Pokemon doesn't have to create the buying and selling, right? Like, yeah, people create that on their own. Where in this space, the NFT projects themselves need to give people reasons to buy and sell, to have the volume, to keep the project trending, to keep it popular, to also give people a reason to hold long term. To like, it all falls on the founders, the project's shoulders. Where in real life, all Pokemon does, or all Topps does, or all anybody does, is they release a collection, and then the consumers themselves figure it out. What is this card worth? Do we buy and sell? Do we hold? Do I master set? Do I go for a full collection? Like the NBA, Topps, Pokemon, One Piece, they don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They just print it and see what happens. We're here. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility.
And again, because of all that, it is more work. It's more responsibility. Why not lean into it? Why not do more with it? Otherwise, why not just go off chain? Like, like if you're building something on chain, even if it starts with NFT, PFP as IP, lean into it. Lean into the community. Show alignment with the community. Utilize the tech. Mike, thoughts on this? GM.
A lot of thoughts on this. I'm sorry about the connection. I left my house to get in my car to drive to work, but
All good.
Joey got to the point that I was going to make earlier too. It's like, and one reason I really applaud Cab and other founders that are still here and still doing stuff is that you have so many different people that you have to cater to because they're here for different reasons. And that leads me to the point too. You have to know, as a collector, as a trader, as whoever you are, when you get into this space, you have to know why you're here. I mean, people were promised a roadmap. People buy an NFT because founders say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that for you. And then if that doesn't happen, well, now we have a problem, right? But if you're just buying it to collect it, to be a part as a membership or something like that into the club, then you don't have a problem because you got what you got. And that's all you were expecting. And if something else happens, then that's icing on the cake, right? Um, so it's got to be terribly difficult as a founder to be able to navigate all of that. And but that's the main point that I had, is that, you know, people were sold something when they bought in. They were sold that this was going to be this kind of project. We're going to do this with it. We're going to do that with it. And then either it was delivered or it wasn't. But that adds to what people think of the entire space and what they think of your project. So I think founders are also careful about what they say.
Yeah. And a lot, like, yes, some things certain founders have said. There's also, and I know we can't hold them accountable or have expectations for any sort of social contract, but it's not even so much as, it's just like, that's part of the power of this space is to do some of these things we've talked about this morning. And so whether it was said or unsaid, it to me is still a head scratcher when some of these brands are just, they seem to be essentially leaving Web3. And I fully understand, appreciate, and encourage the crypto native brands to sell outside of this space, like to attempt to break outside of crypto. It's a very small niche market, and most are going to need to break out of this to build a sustainable business. So do that, but just don't forget about those who helped you get the start, because that is kind of like the, and I hate to say like unspoken rule or rules of engagement or a social contract, but it is, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, great. Because it keeps saying that I'm disconnecting or reconnecting.
It's crispier. Whatever you did, it came back even clearer this time. We could hear you before, but yeah, it
Well,
sounds like you
I
got
unplugged my phone from the car because I got to my parking lot. The other thing, you know, when somebody's financing a movie, right, and say it's an independent film, and they go out and they talk to a dentist and say, hey, you can invest in my film, you know, give me $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it is, you can invest in my film, right? The one thing that they have to be very careful about is saying that you're going to get something out of this, right? Because most movies lose money. And so it's just the excitement of being involved, being able to go to your country club or go to your in-laws at Thanksgiving and say, I invested in that movie that you guys just watched. You know, it's that kind of status thing that helps as well. But you got to be careful when you're selling something to not overpromise something that you may or may not be able to deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
The comparison to watches kind of got me too, because nobody's promised anything when they buy a watch, right? People buy an AP or a Patek or something in order to either flex or to invest, because assets like that tend to go up over time. And when you buy into an NFT project, most of the time founders are saying, okay, you're buying in because we're building this. This is what we're going to build for you. Or you buy in and then they say, we're going to build something. And you're like, well, I don't care about that. I don't need that. It's a very tricky thing, which again, I go back to Cab and saying, you know, what an amazing job founders do, because it's got to be incredibly difficult to navigate all of these different expectations every single day.
Yep. But it's you not to get a cheesy catchphrase, but it's like surprise and delight. That's not a Web3 concept. It's a business concept. Go above and beyond. You know, make sure your valued customers feel valued. Make sure that you want them to feel like they're part of the family. Surprise and delight. It's just so much easier to do that here than it's ever been before. You have more data. You have more proof of fandom. It's easier to do that. And it's not always just about a check your wallet moment and airdrop something to them. You can do it. My thing is, I would challenge every NFT team. I don't care what the activation is. If it's a live event, if you're selling a plushie, a toy, a vinyl, you got a big collaboration, ask yourself, is there a way that we can surprise and delight our holders here? And if you take that approach, then I think you're not removing the expectations, but it should feel like cherries on top. It shouldn't feel like a letdown because, oh, I was expecting this and only got that. Well, be happy with that. One thing is for certain is there's a passionate group of people about NFTs on both sides. Some people, they're dead. This is silly. They're never coming back. Hard, you can't value you understand this valuation. But now I think we're going on approaching 5 hours now in this conversation, and I can actually physically see Zane shaking his head at us spending 5 hours talking about NFTs over the last 2 days. But here we are. Edward, GM, always enjoy hearing from you. What brought you up this morning? What take this whichever direction you like.
What's up, guys? Yeah, no, when you guys were just talking about the sports cards on, the idea of holding them and owning it and having it in real life versus the NFT side, like I experienced two things in the last week recently that just proves that there is that we are, and I hate this stupid phrase, but we are so early. And I think part of it is that there's two facets of onboarding here now. One of them is the knowledge and education to get people online, on chain. And the other one should be a marketing push by, and I hate using the word projects unless you're a Kickstarter, by brands that need to market the community. So I went in and I made a post about it a couple of days ago. One of them was I went into my daughter's, she had a music class and I brought her in, and really like 40-year-old guys, and I was wearing my Bored Ape shirt. And he was just like, "Oh, that's Bored Apes, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And we started talking a little bit, and he was like, "Are they still around? Are they still doing stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, they actually just had a new resurgence and blah, blah, blah. And I started talking to him about it. And I was like, there's a lot of events. And he goes, "Events?" He had absolutely no idea. And I started talking about the community and what they're doing. And I just think that normies have no idea that there's an actual community around all of these brands and that is part of the incentives, right? Like they don't know. And I think that projects and brands like Pudgy that's trying to hit, the Web2 retailers and, Apes are created a clubhouse, so, that will be in Miami for people to walk by and see. Like, I think these are all part of it. And I couldn't believe it. And then again, this weekend, I went into Best Buy and I was wearing a pair of Pudgy shorts that had Igloo brand on it and a different Bored Ape shirt. And guy comes over to help me with the employee, and he just, boom. Oh, it just started talking, Web3. And that was awesome because I found somebody, right? Like, like if we're not wearing these clothes, like people don't even know who you are. And we just started talking but he had no idea about the community part. He just thought it was an asset being traded, and I think could be a huge push by brands to show, hey, we are a community that does things. And I think that would really make a difference. And that should be a huge piece of the marketing to bring in and to onboard in another light.
Yeah. It's hard to quantify. It's hard to put it in. It's hard to explain what you just described to someone who's not here, right? I'm not, yeah, of course, right? But there is something. Why we went back and forth and we were, kind of disagreeing earlier. The first thing Von Frunten said that kind of stoked this flame an hour and 45 minutes ago was, at the end of the day, like, community is the real value with most of these NFT collections. And it is for both, for the holders and the brands. And how can you fan those flames? How can you lean into it? How can you're going to get sick of me saying the word, but I have to start another show called Drive Alignment or Alignment with NFTs, or I don't know, at least a segment, because it's so, again, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, it's such an obvious, it's like the lowest hanging fruit here. And instead of like embracing it, I feel like some teams, they want to fight that. They want to argue against that. It's like, why?
I think they need to embrace it, but then there also got to be like this public marketing push towards it, right? Like, holder meetups and like all that stuff. Like, it's great for us. It's great for the community that you're involved in. But how do you show other people that that we're in a club?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want to talk about the Disney. Disney has its Disney Clubhouse for a reason. Like, yeah. Right.
Yeah. And
so, like,
go ahead, Cam.
In theory, sorry, those are the Comic Cons, by the way, and you have to realize how long it took for Comic Con to do its thing, and even Designer Con started with like 20 people. nowadays people understand that people go to these things, they dress up, whatever, they have community over shared fandom. I mean, back in the day, it's just a bunch of nerds. Nobody really understood. And it takes a lot of collective stories to push that narrative forward. You know, Stranger Things making fucking D&D like the coolest thing since sliced bread now, and like everybody understands D&D now, like with Critical Role, shit, that's community. I get it. It's people having fun together. It's not always obvious to people, but I think you're right. I think our duty is, it's many things actually. It's just on the collectible side, it's primarily actually, I think it's clarity, categories, and communication across the board that reinforces that clarity. Because once you have that, you've got stronger collector confidence. By the way, I can say the same thing about like Web 2 collectibles, but like you have stronger confidence. Therefore, you naturally have like healthier secondary market behavior. You've got better onboarding. You have greater long-term demand if you push. And when I say being clear, I just mean oftentimes, and we've done it ourselves. You know, we're in the process of cleaning up everything because we have a lot of collectibles, and that growth was organic. But sometimes people come in and they're like, okay, what does this one do? What's the utility on that one? Blah, blah, blah. And people, like you guys mentioned, people are here for all sorts of reasons. But the clearer you are, the healthier your ecosystem gets and the easier it is to explain. And if it doesn't have clear rules or language that everyone can use, then every like subsequent release might add confusion, and then it's just like a downward spiral. And I think many projects have done that with their expansions, and I think many are in the process of just clarifying everything, because then people ask like, what is, you know, what matters, what's permanent, what's actually a collectible, what's utility, all that kind of stuff. But I think that on the community side, it's not that complicated, and it explains itself. I think that the strongest moats for any IP actually are the communities that form around them, obviously, but specific, and the characters. You see that at Comic-Con, you see that just in general on YouTube engagement layers, whatever. But collectibles is a fucking powerful community mechanism. You have it's a baked in advantage. You have collector language, you have a trading culture, you have completion goals. People meet up just because it's like, oh my God, like you have this one and that one. Fuck, I've been looking for that one forever. That's so sick. How'd you get it? Well, tell me the story behind you getting it. You have lore conversation that's pegged to those collectibles as much as it would be pegged to like a TV show or comic books or whatever. You've got recognition within the community. You have status signals. I can say the same thing about Spirit DAO. I can say the same thing about Arclano Capital, or like anyone that owns like a golden ape or something like that, or Laser Eyes. You have shared memories. Shit, I remember when I got this Charizard. You were there, Jimmy. Like, isn't that awesome? Do you remember? Yeah, fuck, I remember. It's like the dopest thing ever. And you have social behaviors that emerge when people care about the same objects. I think that's the most important thing to consider. And that's not that hard to explain because everyone fucking does it. You have like, people that are into cooking and meet up over the latest like Le Creuset release, and they talk about it on fucking forums or on YouTube or what. It's not that complicated. And when you lean into that narrative, you can explain it, no problem. It's just digital. It's like, yeah, they trade these things on their phone, but they meet up, they grab beers together, they talk about how they got what they got, and they try to complete their sets. Really not hard to explain. So we try to do it when we're in Web 2 rooms or stages or whatever. We keep it stupid simple, and we lean into what's extremely relatable, which is that it's people talk about completing their sets. People want the latest release that's really hard to get because it was only there for a specific time. Oh, and they can also prove it because it's in the metadata, so it's even more valuable. And they communicate together on forums. If you're talking to an older demographic, you have to use words that they understand. They understand internet forums. They understand YouTube. They understand most people know what Reddit is. So just lean into that meta, and it sort of explains itself.
Yeah, man. I know it's hard. It just seems so obvious. And we do have, to your point, the idea of raving fans, of hyper nerds getting really passionate about collectibles. This didn't just start with Web3. It didn't start with NFTs. It took years in many cases, whether it's Comic-Con or Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering. It took years, but that fandom really exists around physical collectibles.
It's around shared experiences
That's
above
it.
everything. It's identity and share. Oh, dude, I'm this weirdo that collects fossil. What? Fuck, you collect fossils too? We could be friends. That's as easy as it gets.
Yep, shared experiences, something that's experiential. It's we could obviously go all morning. So yeah, Cap,
I gotta go.
Cap, let me know when we're starting driving alignment with NFT space.
I don't know how much time I have, but it could be fun.
In all seriousness, always appreciate you hearing from you. Thanks so much for your time today. And yeah, I genuinely am truly excited and curious to see what Klenos is doing next. And I greatly appreciate the leadership that you and the team do, all that you do for the space. I know we had to bounce for 10 o'clock, but more teams and leaders, and they're not the only ones, but they really are leaning into the collector sentiment, the tech. We talk about achievement badges and collector profiles and making sure your holders get some sort of perks when you do an activation. Like they're doing a lot of little things time and time again. And I do think that it culminates and adds up over time, and excited to see, what they continue to do. Congratulations, Cool Hollow, on completing your master set. And I would do my best to get through all the comments in the chat here. But a couple of things we want to hit on this morning. Let me do this. Because this is kind of like a good, not exactly, and I'm not trying to this is not PvP. When I think of Klenos, another team that jumps out as one that is doing a lot of the embracing the crypto culture, leaning into their community, embracing the tech, doing activations with the tech. Another one is Chimpers, right there with them. They have an open edition mint going live today. It's 120 ape coin. Yes, 120 ape coin is public sale. So call it $15. And what that $15 gets you, it's a collaboration with Doritos. It's a collectible experience. It's going live on OpenSea, powered by ApeCoin. This is not a paid shill. This isn't a sponsored post. It's another team I respect, and I appreciate how they're moving. I appreciate how they drive alignment and lean into the tech. So again, a $15 pack. There's 25 unique cards to collect. There's loot box reward cards to discover. How could you do that without, I guess you can do it with traditional cards, like a redemption thing, or it can be done just so much easier. You do it so much better with digital collectibles. The idea of a chase item, a loot box reward, a leaderboard packed with prizes, physical collectibles to claim, original music and AR enabled cards, unlocked rewards through pack pulls, leaderboard placement, loot boxes containing exclusive Chimpy avatars, commemorative t-shirt, and additional collector rewards, leaderboard prizes including custom Doritos fridges, NFTs, jerseys, t-shirts, 3D avatars. Complete the full set for entry into a raffle to win one of 3 Doritos NFTs. More than a card drop, a collectible experience featuring original music, AR-enabled physical cards, storytelling, and exclusive collector rewards. Nothing there that they're doing is crazy impossible or even really hard. It's just they packed a lot into a $15 pack rip here, but most of it is, again, acknowledging their collectors, building a leaderboard, gamifying the collection process, doing it on chain. Shout out to Ape Chain, and also, by the way, doing it with other builders in the space, launching it on Ape Chain, collaborating with Doritos. Doritos. Am I saying that right? This is the OpenSea page you can see here. Are you gonna make generational wealth off a $15 pack rip? No, it's not the point. But here's some of the rewards. You can collect cards, complete your sets, climb the leaderboard, and unlock rewards. Over 1 million Chimpster and 16,000 ApeCoin allocated to collector rewards. Vending Victory loot box. Redeem a Vending Victory card and unlock a share of ApeCoin and Chimpster. Collector rewards allocations, plus a commemorative t-shirt, an exclusive Chimpy avatar. Chimpers NFTs, Doritos NFTs, Chimpster, limited edition Chimpster and Doritos fridges, jerseys, t-shirts, exclusive 3D avatars. Those are just some of the leaderboard rewards. Full set collectors complete the full set to earn entry into a raffle for one of those 3 Dorito NFTs, exclusive avatars and collector badge, free physical redemptions, legendary grail special card holders, and champions, a special reward for holders featured in the card set. again, thanks for leaning into the tech and doing more. Like I said earlier, like of everything we just listed there, maybe half of that, I don't think so, but maybe half of that is possible if this was a physical card. Because it's digital, because it's on chain, it unlocks, you can just, no, everything I said there, maybe none of that resonates with you. That's fine. You don't have to go buy this $15 pack. I more teams should be making an attempt to incorporate the tech, to incorporate this, the culture of the space. And I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the intent. I appreciate the alignment. Well done. Well done, Chimpers. Jumping around a little bit here. I want to hit on this before we're going to wrap up. We'll do a market update, and then I want to introduce our new our new campaign with a sponsor and what they're doing for, again, the space at large, what they're doing to show alignment. This is, before I go there though, I had mentioned this, the SpaceX stock, or the lockup schedule. This is, I believe this to be accurate. I haven't verified it, but I believe this to be accurate. As I mentioned, only 5% is floating right now. 95% is still locked. And here is the schedule. So, 5% was unlocked at the IPO. August 11th is wave 1. 20% unlocks. That's mostly employees, is my understanding. And then there's every 2 weeks, another 7% unlocks. So 7% on August 21st. So between 10-day stretch from August 11th to 21st, 27% unlocks. In my head, that's my target. I know it's a couple months away. I could be very volatile from now. It could go up, it could go down. I don't really know, but I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to respect the pump, but I'm probably not thinking about short until August. And then I right now, subject to change, I'm probably going to open a short around August, maybe before August 10th, because I'm probably not the only one thinking this. And then if it does dip, if we see $100 SpaceX, I'll shove a decent bag and attempt to buy the bottom and or just start a DCA at that point. But it's 7% every couple weeks until we get to December 9th. And that's the 180-day unlock, and that's the remainder. Q3 unlock is another 28%. So there's basically August 11th through 21st is 27%, and then another 28% on November 9th, and then the remainder unlocks on December 9th. Founder unlock is January 13th of next year. So just wanted to share that because I mentioned it earlier and didn't have the data to share. But let's do this. We're going to do a quick daily market update, and that actually will lead us into our final segment of the day and get to share with you all, the sponsor alignment that I've been alluding to here. This is the daily market update.
Coffee brewing. Yeah, the market's in play. Charts on the screen. What the numbers gonna say? We got offer in the cup every single day. Coffee with Captain. Market update on the way.
We are going to start with NFTs today, and we'll round out with trending tokens. Looking at the NFT side, Apes up 1% to 9.19. Hyper's down a little bit, but Hype absolutely ripped, so they're actually up from a dollar standpoint. Pudgy's up 3%. Little Pudgy's up 3%. CryptoPunk's down 2%. Milady's down 2%. Mutant's basically flat. Non-playable character giving up some of their pump from yesterday, down 10%. Azuki up 1% because we keep talking about, I'm giving that coffee with Captain Pump here, a kid. Good Vibes Club down 5%. Blue Pets was a newer mint we talked about yesterday, back down 18% today. Brain Rot up 17% on the day. Burbs up 1.7%. Axie Infinity up 33%. Meta Vixens up 34%. The Globs up 34%. Some interesting pumps there on the NFT front. Quirky's flat 1.02. It was great hearing from Poppy yesterday. And I'll let you check out the rest of the Azuki Elementals actually got a little pump, up 5% to 0.079 now as we keep beating that Azuki drum. Shifting over to tokens though, and this is where things get interesting. It's now turned red on the 24-hour, but pretty positive day, all things considered. It was up. I think it hit, maybe went over 67K at one point. Bitcoin, that is. On the 24-hour clock, it's down 0.5%. ETH down 0.5% as well after like an 11% pump yesterday, which is crazy seeing ETH in double digits. You can see both of those are up on the week. Bitcoin up 6%, ETH up almost 8% on the week. So really, really positive things, which I expect these to be down with around this SpaceX pump. It's just taken, there's so much liquidity being poured into that. I really am shocked. Everything else is pretty flat, up slightly, down slightly. The exception is Hyperliquid, up 13% on the day. Happy all-time high to those who celebrate. It's now $75.38, up 25% on the week. And this is actually going to be our topic of our next segment here. This is Keeping It Real, brought to you by Doma. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I got some exciting stuff to share on the other side of this break.
Buying domains was slow, Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar, stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to Domain Fi.
Today's Keeping It Real is brought to you by Doma, our partners who are bringing real-world assets on chain. Here's something most people don't know or still sleeping on. The internet runs on 364 million domain names worth an estimated 360 billion, and almost none of that is liquid. Selling a premium domain the old way means 45 to 90 days of waiting and brokers taking 10 to 20% off the top. Doma fixes that. They tokenize real domains, your .coms, your .ais, into on-chain assets you can trade 24/7, own a fraction of, or borrow against, while the domain still works like normal. That's Domain Fi. Real assets, real yield, no waiting. Doma putting the real in keeping it real. Check them out at doma.xyz. You can also scan that QR code, and it'll take you right to Doma's site as well. Very excited, grateful to announce we've entered into we did a 60-day run, 60-day campaign with Doma, and really hit it off with the team. Really, I mean, that was a live read. It's a sponsored segment, but I really believe what I said. And we liked them so much and believe in what they're building that we entered into a 12-month campaign. And while we will be doing this Keeping It Real segment, it's not going to be Doma focused every week. We'll just do a quick live read, and it'll be an RWA segment talking about what's happening in the world of RWAs. We do that every Tuesday and Thursday. And and there's some other components to this campaign. We got you all discounted and some free passes to Dominion, their annual conference last year. We'll do some fun stuff throughout the course of the year. But the one reoccurring thing, the one thing I'm really excited about is Doma is actually sponsoring, we're going to call it the Builders Domain. Not on-chain domains specifically, rather builders from crypto, Web3, NFTs. So it'll be a sponsor, it'll be an interview series sponsored by Doma. So if you're a startup out there, if you're bootstrapped, you're just getting started, you don't necessarily have a marketing budget to do a sponsored interview with us, hit us up, DM the Coffee with Captain account. We'll probably do a form or something to just to keep things streamlined there. But long story short, once a week we would be hosting. One of our segments will be an interview series, which we do. I mean, most weeks, maybe not every day, but like 2, 3, 4 days out of the week. We will, after we open up the first hour with cold open or NFT conversations for an hour or so, news of the day, trending topics, etc., market update. Then that 9 o'clock hour, we often get into an interview. Sometimes those are sponsored, sometimes they're not. We now have the ability to support new up and coming builders that may not have that, like I said, that marketing budget or the ability to do a sponsored interview. This is another path thanks to the generosity of Doma. And again, talking alignment, like they could have done a Doma interview every week. This makes, I think, hopefully more sense to all. And for them, it's not so much of, hey, we need to get everyone. They do want people checking out their platform, again, doma.xyz, but it's more so they really do believe in the on-chain builders, supporting the on-chain builders. And they didn't say this, but I'm saying this. Almost every builder out there, they probably have a domain. If not, they probably should have one. And excited about an aligned partnership like this, where it helps us, it helps Doma, and it helps crypto native builders. So really excited. More to come on this. But back to today's Keeping It Real segment. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the SpaceX IPO, and in particular, the RWA component. What's happening with Hyperliquid? Like how the heck is Hyperliquid up 10% on the day? Well, a large part of it is we just had the biggest IPO in history, and it doubled as a real stress test for tokenized assets. The results kind of split. SpaceX debuted on June 12th, I believe, was when it debuted on NASDAQ. Is that right? I could be off by a day or two. It was $135 a share, and crypto wanted in. So this is where things get interesting. 3 of the largest exchanges, Bybit, Binance, and BitGet, excuse me, they had all advertised tokenized SpaceX products. Then they canceled and refunded on IPO day because they couldn't source real shares. They're leaning into X stocks, which is Kraken's tokenized equity rail, and Kraken got no IPO allocation. So all three of those exchanges collapsed all at once. They basically, hey, we can't do this. We're refunding the buyers. Meanwhile, pre-stock buyers discovered there was a 180-day lockup only after trading opened. So they watched the stock climb 19%, unable to sell, still can't sell. The standout, the big winner here, Hyperliquid, their SPXC perpetual did about 1.4 billion in volume on IPO day. It was about 30% of HIP3's ecosystem trading that session without owning a single share, because the purpose synthetic. Funding rates keep it pinned to the real price, and they can't run out of shares. As a result of all this added volume, native token hype jumped 10%. It's up again today. HIP3 stock perps have now done 18.8 billion in volume just in the first half of June. Just in the first 2 weeks of June, 18.8 billion, outpacing the platforms, WTI and Brent crude perps. The new wrinkle is Dinari, DINARI. They just listed SPCXD, which is a tokenized SpaceX equity token backed 1-to-1 by custody shares as the first spot tokenized stock on Hyperliquid's Hypercore, and it's live in 85 countries. Here's the keeping it real takeaway for today. Synthetic perps win on access and liquidity, but give you price exposure, not ownership. No shares, no dividends, no equity. Custody-backed tokens, X stocks, Dinari, they give you the real asset, but you also inherit, Wall Street's plumbing, allocations, lockups, share shortages, etc. So this SpaceX scramble, I think, really showed both models' edges and ceilings, in the same day. I'm curious if you were in the StockX or the SpaceX trade, were you buying shares off Wall Street through your traditional brokerage account? Were you buying perps on Hyperliquid, or were you trying to buy some of these tokenized, the RWA angle, and buying some of these tokenized stocks that are 1-to-1 back? And if you bought SpaceX on chain, did you want the stock or do you want the trade? I think that, perps, have opened up this, and I know Hyperliquid's not the only one, but the success they've had, the market share they've gained, and the fact that they are crypto. It was not just me getting Hyperliquid pilled. ICE, the parent company of NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, I can never remember. I should know this. Anyways, their CEO, they called Hyperliquid the bigger than NASDAQ. Overstated that 1.4 billion in perps was only 1.7% of SpaceX 80 billion on NAS trading on NASDAQ on day one, but it's a structural advantage, right? You've got synthetics, they literally can't run out of inventory. They don't have the lockups, the restrictions, etc. The counterpoint here, skeptics going to say, yeah, perp can't run out of shares, but it also isn't ownership. There's no dividends, there's no voting. It's just a funding rate bet. Is that a feature or a bug for RWA purist? I don't know. I think we have optionality now. You can go both routes. And probably the bigger picture here for RWAs is tokenized equities grew 147% in the first half of 2026. It's up to 5.5 billion, something that didn't exist not long ago. We like a year ago, 2 years ago, like tokenized equities might have been a pipe dream. Now it's up to 5.5 billion just in the first half of the year. And if the custody model keeps breaking on hot IPOs, does the category default, or do we see more movement into synthetic perps, or does that kind of defeat the whole real in the RWAs? I remain a very bullish Hyperliquid, very long Hyperliquid, and it's actually, most of my perp trading I've done has been, in the crypto world. It's been on tokens or whether alts or memes or ETH and Bitcoin. But this has got me wanting to explore, wanting to trade more in, perps of equities. And I don't know if that's a path, because I keep my buckets very different, and trading perps on traditional equities is not something that's really been maybe played around in some day trading in a minute, but not something that I do on the regular. And just the access on Hyperliquid and something I'm comfortable with, and just it's more in my periphery now. It's more in my line of sight, and excited to explore a little more. But that said, that's our keeping it real from Doma. Really appreciate the team over there. Grateful for a new sponsorship. Stay tuned. Like I said, we'll probably have a form of some sort if you're interested in joining that interview series, the Builder's Domain, but very grateful for it and looking forward to more. I did pin up top a couple of the things we talked about here today. There's the Chimpers post, if that's something you're interested in. That goes live again at noon today. There is I'll pin this again all the way to the left, the reminder for tomorrow's show. That's Wednesday, obviously at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We're live here every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.